Warning, this program is entirely fictional and made by a sole Canadian man. All characters and events in the show, including the host, even those that are based on real people, are entirely fictional. The following program contains mature subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised.
America. The land of opportunity. Fueled by immigration and innovation, with just a touch of authoritarian despotism. Here in these glorious United States, there exists a vast criminal underworld, stretching from sea to shining sea. And if you look closely at our utopian American settlements, you may just find the stain of criminal activity in more places than you ever thought possible. Tonight, on Grand Theft Auto Geographies. Sloping terrain, trigger-happy trigger men, and fresh pizza. Tonight we will be taking a look at a district of Liberty City where the Italian flag flies proudly. A neighborhood so saturated with mobsters and third-generation immigrants that even Las Venturas would be impressed. So iconic and important is the atmosphere of this area to its residents that it remains tightly controlled by those folks from the old country who are responsible for its name, the St. Mark's District. The Italians are a notoriously proud group of Americans, and that fact is most prominently demonstrated in the sloped streets of the St. Mark's District, with its endless stream of Italian restaurants, flags, and roaming mafia soldiers. If there's one thing the people immediately associate with the district, it would probably be La Cosa Nostra, the mob. As pockmarked throughout the area are numerous businesses and homes, all owned in whole or in part by primarily the Leone family, though the district has been home to several other mafia families. St. Mark's, being home to several large organized crime outfits, is fairly large as far as typical Liberty City districts go from this time, comprised of a large mix of residential and commercial buildings, and even a few large skyscrapers. As the name implies, most of the residents of this district are of Italian-American descent, and those that are not are unwillingly beholden to the powers who control the streets, with the city at different times being home to the Sindaco, Forelli, and Leone crime families throughout its history. The western half of the district is much flatter and consists of mainly a mix of residential buildings with commercial businesses lining some of the streets, as well as famous landmark and notorious Leone front, Mama's Ristorante, while the eastern half of the district features the aforementioned incline with sloped terraces being particularly prominent, as well as the world-famous Marco's Bistro, which was at one point a Forelli family asset, but in modern times is speculated to be a Leone front. The northern part of the district also cuts into parts of Harwood Scrapyard, and according to our research, actually includes parts of what many consider to be Harwood, including Capital Autos, the Amco gas station, and part of the fire station, though it remains in contention as to exactly where the dividing line is between the two districts. The most striking part of St. Mark's is its uncharacteristic rise in altitude from the west to the east side, with the district primarily composed of one large avenue, which runs from the lower west end to its highest point in the east, before sloping down again in the north to connect back with Hepburn Heights. There is also a large avenue which connects the lower western end of the district with the higher eastern edge, and several smaller roads crisscrossing between these large avenues. The district borders Harwood to the north, Hepburn Heights and the Red Light District to the west, as well as a small part of Chinatown, Portland View to the south, and Portland Beach to the east. Being heavily associated with the mafia, the St. Mark's District has a rich and violent past. In the 1980s, the district was controlled by the Forelli crime family under Sonny Forelli, and it may have even remained that way as late as the late 1990s, with the Mafia turf war seeing the Leones take control of almost all formerly Forelli-owned businesses. Even before the war, however, the area was no stranger to bloody battles, with a particularly famous shootout taking place in the winter of 1992 at the aforementioned Marco's Bistro, while it was still under Forelli control, which saw a Leone assassin, at least at the time, Carl Johnson, murder the then head of the Forelli crime family, Marco Forelli, brother to Sonny, who had taken over for the family following Sonny's death in 1986 to Florida kingpin Tommy Vercetti.
I just wanted to piss you off before I kill you.
By 1998,
Forellis were the smallest family in St. Mark's, with the Leones also having seen better days, and the Sindacos at the height of their power, when a turf war was ignited by meddling in the Sicilian mob. During this turf war, a Leone-controlled casino was almost bombed and destroyed, but many of the families in the area saw fit to export their violence to other parts of the city, or even other parts of the country, or other countries entirely, attempting to keep bloodshed in the streets to a minimum when possible. However, like any other part of Liberty City, violence was almost always inevitable, and even at one of its most popular tourist destinations, Mama's Restaurante, a full-scale shootout was never out of the question. During the rise of future capo regime Tony Cipriani, Tony's own mother would become so infuriated with his performance as a mafioso that she would order a hit-out on her own son, and a deadly firefight would ensue. Following the efforts of Tony in the Mafia Wars, the district would completely fall under the control of the Leones, including, most likely, the famous Marco's Bistro, and may even remain that way to this day, seeing as even following the death of Don Salvatore Leone, the district remained heavily controlled and populated by the Italians. The area has also seen minor construction over the years, but some buildings, particularly on the north side, were completely demolished and replaced by 2001, including a one-time safe house of Tony, which when our reporters last investigated, was a pile of rubble. As we've mentioned previously, the St. Mark's district is heavily Italian-American, and reflecting that, most of the businesses in the area are appropriately Italian themselves. Businesses that have appeared in the district between 1998 and 2001 are 1 Hour Photo, Amco Gas Station, Barbarism, Bellamissimo, Bobella, Bruno's Fresh Mozzarella and Pasta, Capital Autos, Carosello Italiano, Fabric 8, The Leone Casino, Liquor, Marco's Bistro, Mama's Restaurante, Page 3 Bookstore, Panettiere, Pizza Pizza, Signora Grande, and Surplice to Requirements. Contrary to popular belief, the Leone's primary headquarters, Salvatore's Gentlemen's Club, is not actually located in St. Mark's, but rather in the neighboring Portland Beach. And as we've mentioned before, there are those who contend that the true northern border of the district excludes Capital Autos or the Amco gas station from even being considered part of the area. Okay guys, once again dropping the kayfabe, and I want to give a special shout out to all of the GTA wikis, without which these sections would be incredibly difficult. Now the St. Mark's district is very evidently based on Little Italy, Manhattan, with St. Mark being the patron saint of Venice and the origin of the area's name. As is most evidenced by the district's steep incline, Little Italy is clearly not its only inspiration. According to the wonderful GTA wiki, Brooklyn neighborhoods like Carroll Gardens, Bushwick, and Prospect Heights, among possibly others, also inspire St. Mark's. Unlike the real Little Italy, and probably due to in-game limitations at the time, the district does not feature numerous stalls or other sidewalk-friendly activities that are more commonly seen in the New York equivalent. But its building design is very clearly reminiscent of the main inspiration. Looking at parts of the real-world Carroll Gardens and Bushwick, you can definitely see the resemblance, especially in the elaborate Italian restaurants that places like Marco's and Mama's are based on. As mentioned though, it is very strange that the district has this very steep incline that goes from one end to the other, as this is a feature more seen in cities like San Francisco in the real world, and not in New York, especially not in Brooklyn. If you enjoyed this video, consider checking out my main series, GTA Biographies, where I examine in-depth characters from the GTA universe from an in-universe perspective, in long-format episodes. Season 2 is starting very soon. These videos take quite a lot of work to produce, so if you enjoy my work, please consider dropping a like, leaving a comment, or sharing the video. It helps a lot more than you might think. If you want to contribute to the channel directly and get some extra goodies in the process, consider joining my Patreon, where you can get access to all the music used in my videos, early access to episodes, and a credit in all future episodes for helping me to keep this channel running. Thank you for watching. I'm Guinness Walker, and I'll see you next time on GTA Geographies.